Thanks for tuning in to today's show on Iron Man from the MCU, specifically the Mark 46, made by ThreeZero. Right out of the gate, the packaging has a cool graphic looking image of the Mark 46, looking heroic and ready for action. There's a hologram for authenticity on the left side, and gold foil design elements making for a standout presentation right from the start. First impressions. The figure stands at 6.9 inches tall. He has 48 points of articulation, features 4 air slots on the back, and LEDs to light up the chest arc reactor and eyes. This figure requires AG1 batteries, 4 of them in fact, to light up the LED effects. The paint is impeccable, and the metallic effect is carried through the reds, golds, and silvers flawlessly with no discernible imperfections. Without a scale reference, the figure legitimately can be mistaken for a 1/6 Hot Toys figure. To an experienced eye, one can detect the clues that it's actually 1/12. Nah, I think when it stands at 6.9 inches, that's more like a 7-inch figure, so no, it won't quite scale right with Marvel Legends, but can be fudged with foreshortening. This figure is so well detailed through that it stands out against many other figures because they can't compete in details. In hand, he's got some heft. There are some metal elements in here. I'm guessing maybe some leg armature parts. Let's look at his rear back flaps. They open up and expose really cold metallic sculpt underneath. Let's take a look at the accessories. There are the thruster effects for the feet, the repulsor effects for the hands, and the 2 forearm rockets, and a T-tool for prying. And here are the fists. There the arc reactor sculpted in. The blast hands with no port, and instead you see the full arc reactor. The thrust hands, also no ports for the effects, and instead you have the arc reactor. And then you have the blast hands with the port open, so that way you can peg in the effects, and the thrust hands also with the port. And of course, they included a stand. It's actually a flight stand with an articulated arm. And they have some nice engraving of Marvel Studios, the Infinity Saga, with Iron Man Mark 46 printed on the base. The light up LED lights really bring this figure to life. But let's first see the hands on the figure. Here you got the fists, and you can see the arc reactors sculpted in, the relaxed hands down by the side. And here you have the blast hands with the open ports. And here you have the blast hands with the blast effects and the thrust effects plugged in. Those are the thrust hands with the ports. And here you have one of each effect in each hand. Let's do the blast effects and the thrust effects. Let's go over his articulation. This figure moves pretty well even with all this armor. The upper torso tilts well side to side, and the shoulder pads are on a hinge, allowing for greater shoulder articulation. Look at that butterfly joint going inward. And here's the arm abduction. And the side view of leaning back, and the side view in a neutral pose, and the forward upper ab crunch, and there's the side view of the upper torso and the waist crunch. Here's a rear 3/4 view of the upper torso and crunch. Here he is more in a neutral pose and leaning back. Here you can see the chest flaps hinge forward to accommodate arms crossing in front of him. And here is the chest flaps collapse back. The legs do drop down. Here's the leg abduction. And he can even do a balanced side kick pose. Here's the side view of a front kick with his thigh panel hinged forward for greater range. Here's his foot pointing. Here you can see his double hinged elbow and his double hinged knee. And here you can see him kneeling down and crunching forward. Here you can see the head battery compartment, and you can see the little beige button that you push to light up his eyes. And you had to pull off the upper torso off the waist to access the battery compartment found in his chest. That compartment lights up his arc reactor in his chest. There you can see the two battery housings. The head housing just pops right off. Let's do some comparisons. Here we have Marvel Legends with Ultron looking shorter and Colossus looking taller, but just barely. I think you can work with Ultron, but I think Colossus should be taller, don't you? Here's Mafek's Daredevil and Marvel Legends Domino, but really it's the Black Widow body with just a domino head. I think Iron Man looks too big, even if I were to consider this is a dude wearing a complex mechanical suit of armor. And he dwarfs the Marvel Legends female body. Here he is with a Mezco Minjo with a diabolic head and a Sentinel from the 2-pack from Marvel Legends. I think he works with these figures to a degree. I think he contrasts too much for the Sentinel though. It's like ultra high def with Iron Man versus a cartoon version of a robot. And here he is with Diamond's Marvel Select Apocalypse and Star Wars Black Series K2SO. I like the contrast with K2SO, but the Select Apocalypse doesn't seem feasible, at least not side by side. Because here you can see by placing some figures further back in the scene, their height can be brought into a more believable scale with the Iron Man Mark 46. Like the Apocalypse now feels like a better scale relationship. What do you think? ThreeZero knocked it out of the park with his figure. He's fun to play with and feels good in hand. His figure's like a sports car turned into armor. So the paint job and the sleekness of it hits the same spot that a slick ride hits. He can get into some dynamic poses and photographs very, very well. The LED lights really take this figure to another level. While the heft of this guy can make for good balancing poses, rigging him up in the air without using the included flight stand could prove tricky. But with a flight stand and some retouching, flying poses are easy to achieve for some fun Photoshop. Heroes are made by the paths they choose, not by the powers they are graced with. Tony Stark. If this helped distract you from the world, please consider liking this video and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching to the end.